Here we are with episode 9 of Why Is Your Podcast Under That Girl's Phone? My name is Niles, and I cannot believe I've done 9 of these already. It seems like I just interviewed Conrad the other day for episode 1, but here we are for episode 9. And this week I interviewed Elizabeth Morton, who played Bonnie's sister Julie in 3 episodes in season 5. It was so awesome getting to talk to her because it's such a big part of Bonnie's storyline and character ever since she found out from Denver's files that Nate took that her kid might still be alive. And yeah, it was cool to have a piece of that, or to talk to a piece of Bonnie's storyline. And Elizabeth Morton played Julie so good, and her and Liza were so good together. And yeah, so it's awesome to have an episode for this on the podcast, and I'm so happy Elizabeth said yes. And yeah, I hope you guys enjoy this episode. Thank you for watching all of them so far and liking them and all that. And Elizabeth, thank you again so much for saying yes. And that's all. Yeah, I hope you guys like this episode. And I will see you guys maybe for a special 1 year anniversary episode, because May 14th is the anniversary, or the 1 year for the series finale already, which I cannot believe. It has been almost 1 year already since the series finale ended, so there might be a big episode this Friday. And yeah, I hope you guys enjoy this episode with Elizabeth, and here we go. First off, thank you so much for coming on and saying yes, and
My pleasure.
being my 9th guest. And you mentioned Kentucky, and I kind of wanted to ask, what was it like growing up in Louisville and first getting into theater and acting and all that?
Oh, sure. So I was really lucky. I had Louisville is has a great arts community. You know, there's a great theater there, Actors Theater of Louisville. And actually my childhood best friend, her mom used to usher there, so I got to she took me to some plays, and with my school I went to plays and stuff. And then when I was 13, I took a summer acting class at the Performing Arts High School and just immediately felt at home. I was like, oh, this is my thing. I'm here. This is it. And so I ended up going to the Performing Arts High School, which was amazing. So, I mean, it was really good theater training. And so out of 6 classes a day, all 4 years, 2 of the classes were theater classes.
Ooh.
It was a lot. So I was a very serious actor starting when I was about 14 years old.
Dang,
Very
that's
serious.
awesome.
Yeah.
And
So,
then University of Evansville later,
yes.
and the Performing Arts Center. Yeah, like you
Yeah.
said.
I went to University of Evansville, also really good, great theater program. And that's been continued to be fortuitous for me, because that theater department is like a fraternity. So when I was moved to New York, and even then LA and back to New York, I was of course friends with people who were there when I was there, but then I was also meeting all these amazing people who were years ahead of me even, and we just had this connection because of that school. And so I've just continued to make really great friends
Oh,
from the University of Evansville.
oh man.
It's been amazing. Yeah.
See him in New York and see him. Did you
Yeah.
have did you have any favorite plays or anything you did in high school, or that you still remember,
Yeah. Oh, high school. Well,
or starting off? Yeah, like
yeah. Okay. Well, actually, one of the first, I was actually just thinking about this one. The first play that I did outside of high school, where I actually felt like kind of like a little professional actor, is that in Louisville, there's this theater called Bunbury Theater that's still there. That's sort of like the off Broadway of Louisville. Because you have the big established Actors Theater of Louisville, and then you have some community theater, and Bunbury was like in between and had really interesting stuff. And I got cast, and it was my first time. I was 15, and it was a play called The Day They Shot John Lennon, and it was about people who gathered outside the Dakota apartment building after he died and was murdered. And I walk by that place all the time in New York now, so I was thinking about that play actually. But I got to say the F word and smoke a fake joint, and I was 15, on stage and be in a play with adults. And so it
right.
was like, what? It was like a whole world. And I just remember being so respectful and respected, as part of this company. So that was a big show for
Big
me.
one, right?
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, I've walked across, or I've been to that spot in New York too, where
Oh
they
yeah,
have like the thing on the pavement, like the memorial, and
the Imagine sign. Yeah,
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 always people there, like every.
yeah. All these really stoned people on benches, like singing songs with guitars. Like, yeah, it's great. Love
Yeah,
it.
that's like a heavy, like you said, the joint and the cursing and like a heavy themed play for a 15-year-old and
Exactly. And I think that's what I liked about it. Like it was drama, like dramatic.
some real
Yeah.
heavy stuff. Yeah. And did you ever have any other career goals, or was act like before acting, or that you thought you maybe wanted to?
Well, actually, when I was a kid and even in high school, I loved math. Math was always my best subject and my favorite subject, which was weird as an actor because I went to performing arts high school, and then my senior year, I remember I took advanced calculus as an elective.
Oh my.
It was crazy. I remember they're like, no actors ever done that before. But by the time I got to college, I was like, I'm just going to focus, and I gave up on the math thing. It has come in handy though with my survival jobs and things, I got to say. But uh, the I did direct a play in college, like a full production, which was great. And I started writing, and I'm a writer also. So I think I've always acting's always been a part of my life, but I've also realized I have other things. And the thing about being an actor is you're always a freelancer, right? You're
Yeah,
always sort of you don't know what's next and everything. So I've been lucky to follow other inspirations and passions along the way.
that's always good. Yeah, keep it.
Oh yeah, oh yeah. You have to, you can't. Yeah,
Just wait for the next role, or
exactly.
yeah,
Otherwise, you're just waiting too much.
waiting game.
Yeah.
I kind of wanted to ask what would, like, when you first started to get into TV, what
Hmm.
was like the biggest challenge going from theater to television roles, or if
Oh
any?
well, I think yeah. I haven't done. I want to do more TV. I haven't done a whole lot, but when I was first on a set, I think it's sort of understanding the routine of it was really interesting, because in a play, it's like, okay, where you rehearse and you're in this very safe space for like a month or something before you even move to a theater, before you have an
Rehearsal, yeah.
audience. And this is like, you're knocking it out. And I was really lucky because the first TV job I had was on a show, Education of Max Bickford, and it was the Richard Dreyfuss show, and I played, it was like a couple scenes here and there as one of a student, and I think I did a couple episodes of that. But what was great about it was that I could observe a lot. Like I remember the first, because I had no idea how it worked. I remember showing up at the set, and I'm in it. They show me my dressing room, and then suddenly I'm in a makeup chair next to Richard Dreyfuss.
Oh.
Like, okay, just watching. How's this working? Okay.
Observant, right?
I'm taking it all in, and then sort of watching how they set up the cameras, and okay, it's on us first, and then I have a little scene with him. So, okay, the camera's not on me, it's on him, and then all this stuff, and then I was also noticing like, oh, he's the star, probably also a producer, because at one point he had some idea for me to do some improv with him that ended up being cut from the episode. But I remember he was like, come here. And all the writers and directors were like, just do it, whatever. And so I was also just noticing how power is the power dynamics are interesting. And I guess they are in any kind of work situation, right? And honestly, any play I do, you notice different power dynamics in each group, whether it's the director, actors, whatever. But that was a really good first experience to have because I could just sort of observe how it was. And I was there for really long days. I had a small part, but I remember being there for 12-hour days.
Oh my god.
But I could kind of take it in,
Yeah.
It was great.
yeah, different the power dynamics for any workplace really. When
Yeah.
you start observing, like you can really notice the
Yeah.
different.
But I was lucky because then I think the next TV job I had was one of the Law and Orders I did, and I remember
Lucky.
I had to I had it was like were shooting all the scenes in the teaser in one day, and I was in all four scenes or something. And so I thought, well, I'm glad this wasn't my first day on a set for a TV show, right? Because I had,
Completely different.
yeah, and it was like, we're going here, we're going to this location, we're going to this location, here's the scene, here's this, you know. And so I was so grateful to already kind of know what the deal was, what was going to go on. Yeah.
Speaking of Law and Order, you were in like three of them, I think, like Criminal Intent, the original Law and Order, and then the iconic SVU.
I guess for you. Yeah.
Do you remember any of
Yeah.
those roles?
Actually, this is so funny. Two of them. I mean, I was just in one episode of each one, and
Yeah.
I aspire to be in the new one.
Oh,
Cross fingers. That would be so
Christopher
fun.
It's so
Um,
great.
but what was funny is two of them that I did. The mothership, as the actors used to call it, the original Law and Order, and then the SVU. Both of those episodes were rewritten after the episode was filmed and edited, and both of them I had to go back and film new scenes,
Oh, dang.
and which was nerve wracking. But it was fascinating to me as a writer, like as a storyteller, that they were like the one scene I did where I had a big long scene on the witness stand, and it was like whatever, and then they called me back and they said, or they edited it together, and they're like, it's supposed to air in 2 weeks, and the episode really hinges on that scene, and it's just not working. They have to rewrite it, so you have to come in and audition for it again. And I was like, audition for it again? I already filmed it.
Already got.
But actually, what they wanted to make sure was, because they changed the scene so much, that I could do it. And so I remember the audition was like me and the producer and the casting director, and I just did the new scenes, and they're like, okay, great. We're going to film it at midnight with Sam Waterston tomorrow because he's doing another episode during the day. And I was like, okay.
Late night.
Yeah. And then the other one for SVU, they changed the location of my murder. I was originally murdered outside of Lincoln Center. And then they decided, like 3 months later, when it was about to air, no, that doesn't make sense. We need to get her murdered in Central Park. Well, I was doing a play in Seattle.
Oh.
So, and I only had Mondays off. So they picked me up after my Sunday night performance in Seattle, flew me red eye, took me to Central Park, did this bloody murder scene, and then put me on an airplane and flew me back to Seattle so I could perform the next. It was
wow.
It was crazy.
I need to look.
But those stories, man, I mean, it's just more. So it was actually more interesting to me as a writer than anything else, is how they. And I love that you're interviewing writers for this show, because this show was also like
crazy, right?
What's gonna happen?
Every episode, right? Yeah, I've had 2 writers on so far, and it's been amazing getting all the behind the scenes and secrets and how everything works. And because I thought I had like an idea how like a writer's room works, but hearing from them like how they work as a group kind of to get the episodes, and then with P, and it's like crazy how much goes into stuff before the fans see it.
Absolutely. Yeah.
And the Central Park, like you said, the flying you all the way from Seattle, and you wouldn't think of any of that like when people watch the episode. They're just like, oh, she's in Central Park.
Not originally. Right. Yeah.
That's crazy. I want to watch that now. Oh my god. And then I kind of wanted to touch on some of your theater plays, Death of a Salesman, The Moon Calf, The Fearless, Girl Talk, All My Sons, How I Learned to Drive.
Wow, you did some research. Yeah.
Just some of it. I didn't have enough room on the Post-it. There's a lot of them, yeah. But I was wondering if you had any favorites from memories from any of those.
Well,
some of them you did in Louisville, and some of them were
Yeah, well,
off
it's funny
Broadway.
with Louisville, because of course that's my hometown, but Actors Theater of Louisville is a very, nationally, internationally known theater. And I had to be in New York to get cast there. It was really fun. That's
Oh.
actually, so it was just a coincidence. It was my hometown, but I loved getting to work there a couple times. Um, uh, so yeah, I got cast there. But I've been lucky. I've been gotten to do some really interesting theater. And hopefully we'll do more now that COVID is.
Right. I want to
Theater's coming back. Well, I mean, The Death of a Salesman was interesting. I was in 2 productions of that, and that's always interesting to be in. I've also been in 2 productions of To Kill a Mockingbird, and it's interesting to just see how the same story can be told in such a different way.
evolve, yeah.
And so the first time I did Death of a Salesman, and I had small parts, but as the saying goes, there are no small parts, only small actors, right? It was at this great theater in Weston, Vermont that I've worked at 3 times, I think. And Christopher Lloyd played Willie Loman. And he was a great Willie Loman. He was just heartbreaking. And that was a really just great play. And like I said, I had a couple different parts. I mean, I remember I had to switch wigs and stuff, and we toured it, and it was just super fun. And it's such a beautiful area of the country. And then a few years later, they were going to do Death of a Salesman on Broadway with Mike Nichols directing it, and who of course is a legend. And my dear friend, I've always been lucky to have mentors, a lot of amazing elders in my life. And one of my closest was Elizabeth Wilson, who died 6 years ago. And she had worked with Mike many times. And she called me and she said, "Do you want me to recommend that you audition for him?" And I said, "Okay." Because here's what they don't tell you about acting, people who aren't acting. Sometimes just getting an audition is really hard. I mean, it can be just a big deal in itself to get an audition, So I said, thinking, okay, yeah, sure, if you want to call it, whatever. Well, the next day I was auditioning in front of Mike Nichols. Okay, here we go. And it was a small part, but I made him laugh at the audition. I think that's what got me.
Always good, right?
So that was the only time I've been on Broadway. But it was an amazing company. Philip Seymour Hoffman, Andrew Garfield,
oh my God,
Bill Camp, John Glover, Linda Emond. Like, it was an amazing cast. And Finn Whitrock and Anne Roth designed the costumes.
Anne Roth,
who just won the Oscar, I think, right?
For Ma Rainey.
Yeah, for Ma Rainey. So, I mean, that was an amazing experience, Please, it was Mike Nichols. Come on. So, and it was
and that cast. Oh.
And that cast. So I would have to say that was pretty darn exciting. Yeah.
Damn. I cannot wait to go to another play or musical or anything, or a movie. I'm going to a movie this coming Thursday for the first time, and
that's very exciting. I know. Haven't you been to a movie?
Yeah. I did see Ma Rainey in theaters just because Viola, but yeah.
Was that before the pandemic? How did you see it in the theater?
No, they were playing it up in Omaha, Nebraska, like an hour and a half away. So.
Oh my God! And Chadwick Boseman.
Have you watched that? Have you seen
Ma Rainey? Oh yeah.
Yeah. Oh God. Chadwick.
So good. Who's the other actor in it who was in
Glenn Turman.
Yes.
Nate Senior. Yes.
Yes. Actually, he got murdered in one of my episodes. One of my episodes ended with my main episode.
Yeah,
that's so devastating.
Yeah, at the end after you tell Bonnie what happened. Yeah. Oh, girl.
But that was neat to see him. And then of course Cicely Tyson just died, and I remember. Yeah. Viola wrote really great tribute to her, of course.
I had her autobiography, but then she passed away, so I haven't brought myself to finish it yet. But
yeah, and I heard about her because Elizabeth Wilson, who I mentioned before, she did a TV show with Cicely Tyson and George C. Scott in the 60s. And she was telling me about that and how tricky that was with just obviously so much racism and stuff, and producers being really just hesitant about even giving her such a big role, Cicely Tyson, back then. It's crazy.
Oh, man. Yeah, but her autobiography is the life she led and everything she saw
and she kept doing theater. I mean, that's what I love. Like, she kept doing theater. Yeah, I think she and James Earl Jones did that play Gin Game, I think, two of them. Anyway, they did it just a couple years ago. She was in her 90s or something.
Still, yeah. Hopefully 90, right? And then some other TV roles, General Hospital and 666 Park Avenue was another ABC show for a while, and
666 Park Avenue. That was an interesting one because I think that was the third murder. I've been murdered on TV. And that was my third one. That was interesting because I think like the set was destroyed during Hurricane Sandy or something weird like that. And then the show was canceled. And then we all kind of knew the show was canceled. And I was only in a couple episodes, but I remember there was just this like, whatever, we're just gonna do this thing. And General Hospital is interesting because, I mean, I only did a couple days on that show, but it was during the pandemic. It was last August.
Oh, recently.
And so one of my claims to fame now is that I got my first COVID test at General Hospital. Since it's a fictitious hospital, but that really is where I got my first COVID test. And yeah, and that was bizarre working with masks and stuff. And it was August, so everybody was, you know, because actors are the only ones who have to ever take their masks off. No one else has. So it really was like, ooh, this is vulnerable, right? Like
risky. Oh my god.
But that was interesting, and of course it was like, you know, season 57 or something. Like, wow, this is an institution. So,
oh my god. Yeah. They're probably ready for the shakeup after 50.
Yes, exactly.
Oh my god.
Like, we can handle it.
Oh shit. Speaking of murder, the
reason here.
It's funny you got the show How to Get Away with Murder, then with murder in the name, you don't get murdered on that, but
I did get away with murder though.
Right. Oh my god. Yeah. But you said like you got murdered on 3 other shows, but not one. Yeah, we got to bring up murder, of course. Did you know of the show beforehand, or have you seen any of the episodes at all before?
I knew of the show. Of course I knew. Yeah, of course I knew the show, and of course Viola Davis. And I remember seeing the pilot.
Iconic.
With my cousin. Like I remember it was like, let's check out that show. And I think we watched maybe the first episode or two when it first came out. And then I didn't really watch it. But then of course, well, I mean, should I tell you my audition story? Because then
yes, please.
Okay. So I had it, but I knew the show. I mean, I'd seen, you know, clips, you know, seen a couple episodes or whatever. I kind of knew it, but it wasn't in the forefront of my mind. And so I get this audition, and this is when we go back to these writers again. Well, the part really hadn't been written yet. This is the interesting thing. And also they're so secretive about their story. So I get an audition for like Stephanie, or it was like, what was her name? It was Kim, that's Stephanie. And it was like these character descriptions. And then I had these scenes, like one scene was this courtroom scene where I had to do this scene all about like protecting my cousin, and we were molested and all these things. And then I had to do another scene where I meet my cousin in a diner and we're really in a fight. And so they were really just pretend scenes that never were aired, but they just wrote these scenes because I guess they were like, well, we want to cast somebody who has a quality in these, I don't know.
And they had like the breadcrumbs in there, like the cousin, sister,
exactly, the bread,
abusive dad. Yeah.
exactly, instead of uncle. So I auditioned and I was like, okay, this is interesting. I mean, whatever. I'm auditioning for Kim and whatever. So, and again, it was a big deal to get this audition, and I was really grateful to my manager and for getting me this audition. And it was my first time auditioning for Linda Lowy herself, who's the casting director, and it was great because usually, a lot of times nowadays, well, of course now everything's on tape, but even then, like you audition for TV, and it's usually the casting director. I did an episode of Louis, and it was the casting director and a camera, and that was it in the room. and then I get the job like a few weeks later when it was who's looking at these tapes, and so it was. But usually it's even the casting director's assistant. Okay. Often it's just in the room. So it was great for this to actually have her in the room, and I did the scenes. She directed me, which I love. I love getting directed because you know you can't know what's going on. You get more. Yeah. And so I did the scenes, and then we had a nice chat, and then I left, and I remember being like, that felt good. That felt like a good audition. Right. And then, like a week later, and then you don't hear anything a week, and then you're like, oh, I guess nothing. Yeah,
I bombed it.
And then a week later, I find out I'm pinned. You know what that means? It basically means
in the running.
Yes, I'm in the running. I'm on hold, and so I was on hold for that period of work. And so if another job were to come up, then my manager has to tell the casting office. So anyway, I'm pinned on hold. I was like, I'm pinned? Oh, okay. And then I find out, okay, tomorrow you have a callback. You're having you have to do it. You're going to set. You have a callback on set, and you're having a chemistry read with one of the series regulars. And I was like, what? He was playing Stephanie, and so I was putting two and two together, and I was like, okay, there's no cousin Stephanie. They want to see, and so I turned the show on again, and I was like, what? Who am I going to read? They didn't even tell me what actor it was. They just said one of the regulars, and so
who do I look like?
Liza came on, and I was like, oh, I'm auditioning for her sister, and I just knew. I was like, that's what I'm doing. So I go to the set to Sunset Gower Studios, and it was actually in an office. So it wasn't actually it was actually just in the writer's office. It was in the producer's office. It was in that area, and just in a little office room. And it was down to me and one other woman, and it was that scene in the diner. They said, we're going to read the scene in the diner that you originally had. And I was like, okay. And this is how classy Liza is. Even though it was never going to be filmed, even though it was a dummy scene, it wasn't a real scene. She had memorized. She was totally off book. And I thought that was so classy. And I was too. I was ready to film it. I didn't even carry a script in. I was like, I want it to seem like I'm ready to shoot this. Right? You want to shoot this tonight? Let's do it.
Another midnight shoot?
Yeah. And so it was just the casting director's assistant actually had come in with the camera, and then it was the director of the current episode and one of the producers, and me and Liza. And it was a tiny office, so they kept rearranging chairs. First there was just the camera on me, and then they're like, let's rearrange the chairs and put you side by side. I'm like, okay. And so we did this, and we did it 8 times or something.
Oh.
And then the next day I got the part. I mean, they said, they have to okay it with the studio and okay it with obviously the writing team and producers and network and all that. And I got it, which was super exciting. It's super great. And then I asked Liza about it later, and she said, I'm pretty sure she said she had never had to do a chemistry test before, which is so funny. She's like,
right?
I've been on TV forever. She's like, I've never had to do a chemistry test. And she said, but you walked in, and I was like, oh yeah.
That's my sister.
So that was really sweet.
Ah, that's so cool. Oh my
We
God.
had the sister chemistry. We did.
It worked really good.
Even though the scenes weren't written yet.
That's so crazy. Oh my God.
So it was like,
I like how you like turn the show on and you're like, who am I? Like, and then Liza, you're like, oh shit.
oh yeah, that's her. Yeah.
I was gonna ask what it was like working with her because I got to meet her one time in California, in LA. I went to the Paley Center. They had a
Oh yeah.
panel for the final season, and Charlie Weber and Liza, they came out after the panel and they came and found me so they could meet me and take pictures, and yeah, so
sweet.
I was excited to talk to you about working with her, and because she was like the nicest person and when I met her, so yeah.
Yes. Well, and the way that it worked with us was, and we can, if you want, like the story going down was just so interesting. But my first day on set, what some of the things they filmed with me never aired. Actually, they did some flashback things with me where they put a long wig on me, and they took mug shots of me as young Julie. I mean, as in heroin riddled, crystal meth riddled Julie. Like they put shitty makeup on my face, like gray makeup, and like they basically made me look like I was heavily on drugs, and gave me and did like these different mug shots. I had the long wig, and they took me to the Grey's Anatomy set to go film me stealing the baby and like the
dang.
Anyway, so I was on set doing those kinds of things before I worked with her. But I remember my first day in the makeup trailer. She came in just to say, she came up to me. Of course, we'd met at the chemistry test, but she came up to me and I just remember her coming up and saying, I'm so glad you're here. I said, thank you. It was just so sweet. It was super sweet. And as we were both kind of getting and of course at this point I watched all the seasons. I mean, I did do my homework as a good actor. I did do my homework because I didn't know. I was like, well, I don't have my scripts yet, but I'm playing her sister, so I gotta watch these episodes. And it was so interesting knowing I was named Julie, and like that's her pretend name
for Isaac. Yeah.
I was like, what? And I remember in like season 3 or something, she would talk about my sister, and I was like, what? And I remember like writing down anything I could find. I was just trying to gather information.
Little nuggets everywhere, right?
And my costume fitting, they gave me some little nuggets. Like I was like, what's going on? And so they would sort of tell me, well, you have a kid. I do? Okay, great. And then they'd be like, and you're sober now, but you were a drug addict. I was? Okay. Like it was hilarious. Check. How the information is passed down. But Liza was so great because she would, was so eager to collaborate with me and talk. We'd be like, okay, let's talk this scene out. She'd be like, come to my trailer and we'll like talk about the history. And because in the theater you have time to do that. You really have time to discuss relationships and
the whole history of
dynamic and but when you're having to play someone's sibling who you just met, it's like we have to establish relationship
that we've had this tension for.
So it was helpful to sort of talk about it, and she was always just so generous with that. So.
And especially like Bonnie's backstory and Julie with the sexually abuse with their father, and to get all that tension and emotion through the screen, like that's a lot.
Oh my God, exactly. And also because we didn't know, I mean, I didn't know my main episode, the one with the one where I confessed to killing the baby.
Yeah.
I didn't, it came down the pike pretty late. Like I remember getting I get notice, oh, actually, you're working tomorrow. I'm working tomorrow? Okay. And then I get the schedule, the How to Get Away with Murder day for schedule. And it says noon or whatever. Elizabeth Morton's called to set. Okay. Makeup trailer at this point. 1 p.m. filming Julie's confession scene. And I was like, what? This is tomorrow. I'm filming Julie's confession scene. I was like, what is it? What is the scene? I didn't have a script yet. And I was like, okay. They were like, yeah, we're going to film Julie's confession, and then we're going to do a table read. And then you'll film a lot of the other episodes, like a lot of the other scenes the next week. What? So at 10 p.m., I get the script emailed to me, and I'm like reading it. And so the next morning I memorized, and what they were talking about was the scene at the Narcotics Anonymous.
Oh, like you're the one been protecting her, and
yes,
if she knew, yeah,
the one that the reports or whatever.
Frank,
and so that was Julie's confession scene. I'm like, okay. So I read about it. I read the scene 10 at night, memorized it in that next morning, and was in that chair, confessing and doing that scene.
Oh my God!
Not quick. And so that was when I learned anything about a lot of I didn't know. It's fascinating.
It is. Oh I don't know how you do that. Yeah. Oh my gosh.
So it was fascinating, like how these writers, like, because all of these stories, I mean, they're so intricate, and
oh my God.
And so you really have to be ready. And I loved the director I got to work with. Well, I worked a little bit with Laura Innes, and that was really awesome.
Oof, iconic.
But the main director I worked with, Jonathan Brown, was so great, and he was so just respectful, and was like asking me, like, what do you think? And I'd be like, well, I think, like, when we did the one scene, or the scenes in the house, and he'd say, well, okay, so Liza's going to be here, and the picture with the baby's here, and you're coming in with the groceries, but I need you to get here. What do you think? And I'd be like, how about this? I'm wearing the jacket. Okay, I put on the groceries, and then I have to put the jacket on. I'm going to put it on the chair, and then I'll see the picture. He was like, great.
That's what.
And then I said, and I think the scene with Liza at the end should be on the couch. I think the two sisters need to be on the couch. He said,
like, great. Close and yeah.
And I love that he was like,
because not like, I'm sure like other directors do that, but not all of them probably.
Not all of them
to that level.
Actors can think or have opinions, about things. But he was great, and the writer of that episode, Tess, was amazing. And I actually even got to, because there was some overlap. I think we were filming on set the exterior scenes of my house. So this is like a week before we filmed the interior scenes of my house. And I think Laura Innes was directing something. So Jonathan, the director, and Tess and I, the three of us just got together for 20 minutes to discuss my character's journey.
Oh my God.
Most actors don't get to do that. We just happen to have the time, the arc of that episode. And I got to talk with the writer and the director. It was awesome.
Damn.
Yeah, everyone was just so nice. I just remember feeling very cared for, and just everyone was nice on set.
You mentioned the flashback scenes that they had you dress up for, and you mentioned the Grey's Anatomy set with the so you were gonna have like film you taking the baby from the hospital, and they were gonna use the Grey's Anatomy set for that.
They did. I mean, I think it ended up that they had a really kind of fuzzy surveillance video of me or something that they did end up using, but everything takes so much longer than what you see. That's the crazy thing, is you have I have this whole monumental experience on How to Get Away with Murder, and then you watch it and it's like, oh, my part was like probably 15 minutes of screen time, and it's over so fast. And they actually cut parts out of it, and it's a weird process. but yeah, they did. We went to set. We went to the Grey's Anatomy set, which was so fun.
Oh.
Um, and so yeah, they kind of blocked off this old hospital wing, and I had my long wig, and they gave me a fake baby that was the weight of a real baby.
Oh.
It was creepy. Um, I remember I showed Liza a picture of it, and she goes, "Oh, like, oh, it's so creepy."
Of the baby.
Like me, like, but yeah, they filmed me walking down this hallway many times, like just trying to get the right angle.
For that, yeah.
I don't even know if they ended up if that was me. When I finally saw it, I was like, I'm not sure if that was me or an extra, because I think
to throw us off, maybe.
Yeah, who knew? Who knows exactly. But that was super fun to go to the Grey's Anatomy.
Did you see any famous doctors over there, or were they all?
Yeah, it was kind of like, you guys are going over here. I mean, they had the
no crossover for.
Exactly.
Oh my god! Did you do you have any pictures of all that, like of you in that outfit?
Do. Of me in that outfit?
Yeah.
We do.
To see Julie. Instagram. Yeah, that's crazy how you all this preparation and stuff goes into the role, and then they either cut stuff out or it's over, or your scenes are like 20 minutes total. Yeah. Or what was it? Is it weird when they cut stuff out, or is it just like that you thought should be cut?
Yeah, I mean, that's happened before whenever I've done any TV stuff, because it's I guess as an actor, I just feel much more in control in the theater, right? Because I'm the one on stage with my fellow actors, right? The director's not on stage, the writer's not on stage. You know, once the show starts, you're up there, right? But also in terms of relating to the material, I'm more in control because I get to see the whole thing. Like, it's the beginning, middle, and usually the playwright is dead. Or if the playwright is still alive, there might be tweaking it, but the play is in complete form, right? And so you kind of get to know, okay, this is what's going on here. This is the information I'm getting, or whatever. With TV, especially with this, it was like last minute. Like I was like filming scenes as Julie way before I learned anything about the baby or whatever, you know? And so, okay, that was a lot coming in. But also, as an actor, you know, you work on a scene with the complete arc of a scene. You know, how does my character change? What's going on? And so it is sometimes upsetting to see what would I call internal cuts, where they'll cut the scene in the middle. Because it's like, I would have said that one line differently if it wasn't followed by you know, beside the other line. And so you do feel a little out of control. And also because you'll do 5 takes of something, 8 takes of something, whatever. And then they edit it together. So in such a way that it's, they could be using like one sentence from the first take, and then the second sentence I say from the 5th take. And
oh my God.
It just feels so out of my control.
Damn.
You know, as a storyteller. But ultimately, you know, it's fine. It's fine. But it's just different. It's just very different. And this, you just have to go with it. Like, this was very much, okay, I'm just going to go with it.
Right. Oh my.
You know? But, yeah. But she was great. Eliza was great to be my partner in crime, and for when I was working on that.
One of the best. Oh my God.
The little girl was great.
Oh, what was your daughter? Scarlett. Yeah.
What was her name? Skylar.
Skylar. Yeah.
Oh. She was so great. Yeah.
And then when Bonnie was like, after she learns the truth and she's driving back, she was gonna call in the unregistered, unlocked firearm, and oh my God. Yeah. I wish we would have got like one more scene with Julie, like after.
I do too.
She tells Bonnie the final truth. Like,
no.
I feel like
what happens? That's a big deal. I basically like, oh, by the way, I buried your baby, and then it was like,
she's driving back. Yeah.
but really, when you look at that episode, even there was so much going on. Like we said, the Nate Senior is murdered in that episode,
Okay, yeah.
and
And the episodes
oh,
before, it's like
yes,
his
and
final
Cynthia
trial.
Stevenson, is that her name? Cynthia Stevenson. Is that her last name? Is it Cynthia Stevens or Cynthia Stevens?
Oh, the Connor's mom. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yes. Oh, we had a hilarious time in the makeup trailer together.
Oh, she's
Right. But and but she had some great episodes. She had, I mean, there were some really big scenes with that. Anyway, there was so much
okay.
going
Huh.
on in that
Well,
show, and so I understand that the Julie storyline,
I'm happy we got to finally see it.
it
Yeah,
served
but
its purpose, but then, on to
one
other.
more scene.
You know,
One more episode.
yeah.
I what was it when you finally? Because when we first see Julie, she's outside and Nate's like spying on her and sending pictures back to Annalise and all that, and then when Bonnie does finally show up and Julie like tells her a little, oh, our dad sold the baby, and what was it finally like to film the final confession
The final
on
confession.
the
Oh, on the
couch?
couch. And that was the last, because they film things out of order, but that really was the last scene, and it was
Oof.
the end of a very long day. Um, because we filmed the exterior scenes at the house like a week or two before the interior of the house. And so all of those scenes that take place in the interior of the house, we did all in one day. So it was really just Liza and me, and it was, whoa, this is a long day. And at the end, we were a little punchy, I must admit. We were both really, she's such a committed actor. I remember the camera was on me at one point, not on her, but I'm looking at her and she had like tears in her eyes. Like she was so committed to being in the scene with me, regardless if the camera was on.
God.
It's so amazing. But we were kind of, and we were both up on this couch, and I remember we're looking around at my fake house that they made, and they had the set decorating was just amazing, like all the detail, like there's like ashtrays filled. I was like, am I a smoker? Okay. And like the little details with like the little girls and like the little kid DVDs, and this is like amazing.
Oh man.
But she and I I remember we were looking at the DVD collection, and so they were like arranging the cameras, and I was like, sis, let's. I'm going to tell you some really tragic news, and then maybe we'll just like curl up with some popcorn and watch a movie. Like we were like pretend like it's a slumber party. We were giggly. We were a little punchy. It was late. It was like almost midnight, and we'd been there all day. But then as soon as the camera rolled, we were both like
tears.
Yeah, focused.
What would be Bonnie and Julie's go-to movie for?
That would be a good question. It would probably be something disturbing.
Rosemary's Baby.
Oh my
I don't know.
God. Oh, and you know what else? That day was the day, the Brett Kavanaugh Supreme Court hearings. That day was the day of the Christine Blasey Ford hearing about her sexual harassment. And so
wow,
it was interesting to be on that set on that day, because I remember driving to set and listening to her testimony in the morning. But it was playing in every room. Like seriously, I was in the makeup trailer, and I think Viola was too, and it was just like silence, and we're just all listening to it. And then I would go to set, and I remember it was just on these like little screens, like everyone was in it. But it was interesting on that day, because we were playing survivors of sexual assault, to have that sort of be echoing through the day.
Wow.
That was intense.
And for a show that, they started, I feel like they shifted from like the case of the week from the earlier seasons, and then they shifted to like what we're facing in the real world.
Yes.
Like, so that you guys filmed that on that day.
Yeah.
Strong.
Yeah, and what they did with the last season was amazing
Have
with
you watched all the way to the
oh,
end?
I
Oh
kept watching it, of course.
my
And I was like, I'm involved now. I got to
right.
figure out, see how this is going to play
I'm
out.
in the family.
But yeah, but the Viola had some amazing scenes in the courtroom with, yeah, that were great. Talking about the injustice in the judicial system and all that stuff. And, yeah,
Always
interesting.
chills. Viola's. Oh
I
my God.
know. Yeah.
Did you get to meet Billy Brown or Charlie, or probably Charlie, or anybody else from the cast?
Yeah, I remember. Well, I mean, Billy Brown, he's the one who had to discover me. So I remember like being in a van with him and stuff, but I didn't really talk to him a lot. I remember he was like, you know,
Folk.
reading newspapers and, I didn't really have a scene with him.
Yeah.
Charlie and I talked a little bit. I think he's from St. Louis. I remember we talked about like where we were from and stuff like that. Because I had he was that scene with him, sort of with the in the NA meeting, and yeah, and then Viola, I just was in the makeup trailer with her a couple times, and she was hilarious. The first time I met her, she has a scene. Was it when she says that's her sister Julie or whatever?
Yeah, at the end of 503 episode 3. Yeah.
And so when I met her, they said, "Oh, this is Elizabeth. She's playing Julie. She's playing Bonnie's sister," and she goes, "What did I call you when the scene I just filmed?" And I said, "You said that I'm trash."
Oh, yeah.
She said,
her sister's trash.
That's right, you're trash. She just thought that was hilarious.
Oh my. She probably sold the baby for snack, or yeah.
Exactly. But it was great, and yeah, that was awesome.
An honor to be called trash.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh my God.
Yeah, she was great.
Mainly Liza.
Yeah.
Did you get to keep any Julie souvenirs or DVD collections?
I know, right? I don't think I did. I'm trying to think.
Oh, the wig, or the fake baby would have been.
Oh my gosh!
Prop it up on the couch.
Yeah, I don't think I got to keep any souvenirs, unfortunately. Yeah,
I would know.
Because they keep everything. Because again, they didn't know if I was coming back or not. So then everything gets
true. Yeah.
The wardrobe and all that, because they don't know if it's gonna reappear.
Should I would? Oh, I wish I would.
Hey, believe me too, man. I was ready to go back. It was interesting being in LA last year, because I was participated in one of the Black Lives Matter protests, and we marched past Sunset Gower Studios. And actually, I think I had a friend of mine take a picture of me outside there. I was like, this is better than this is a lot. And now I'm like marching past with a mask on and screaming back. It was all very surreal,
Right.
Walk past that studio.
Do you have like a favorite coast that you probably?
Oh gosh. Well, I mean, even though I'm from Louisville, I know, but I've always felt like a New Yorker since I got here. I mean, I've lived here many years before I went to LA, and so I'm a New Yorker. It's true. Although I do love LA, and I hope to return and work there again and see my friends there, and my manager's there. So I aspire to be a bi-coastal actor, writer, artist, person, human. But mostly I'm a New Yorker. It just fits my sensibilities a little more. But LA's fun. Great. It's beautiful.
I need something other than this rain or something.
Yeah. It doesn't rain there very much, and I would always get really excited when it did, actually.
Any future projects or anything we can look forward to seeing you in
Gosh,
right now?
no,
Or
I don't think so. I not right now. I'm gonna have some things cooking. I'm auditioning. I don't know if you can see back there. I have my little backdrop and my ring light and everything.
the ring light?
So I've been doing famous ring light. So I've been doing auditions, and I think I might do a little summer theater thing. I'm
Ooh,
not sure yet. We're still talking about that with a friend,
in New
and then I
York
have
or?
my two scripts. Yeah, here. And I have my two scripts, my two pilots that I've written, so that I'm working on getting out in the world.
Love
So
that.
yeah, the sky's the limit, man. I really does feel that way, even though I don't have anything in particular right now. It's like all these little. It's like things are coming back to life. It's super exciting.
And everything reopening, and yeah,
Yes,
the light at the end
auditions
of
are
the
picking up. Yeah, everything. It's just like feels like things are in motion. So I'm just trying to stay present and okay, I'm here.
chilling, yeah.
Chilling. Yeah,
Doing podcasts,
exactly. Saying yes to you. Yes.
getting practice, right?
Yeah.
Oh man, but thank you again for coming on and
Oh my
spilling all the Julie tea and
God. Right?
secrets, and the show just has meant so much to me over the 6 years. And
Yeah. So
I
what was it about the show, do you think, that you liked so much?
starting from the pilot, I was just like, because I remember like watching when the networks dropped their new trailers for all the, I remember watching the trailer for this, and I'm like, oh, Viola Davis, and
Yeah.
that was the first thing. And then when the pilot aired, I used to work at a movie theater,
Cool.
and Thursday nights would be like the busy mid or like advanced showings for the new movies, so I would always have to work Thursday nights, so I never would get to watch the episodes live
Mhm.
in season 1, so I would watch it like a couple hours later. So I got home and watched the pilot, and just like the plot twist at the end with them showing that it's Sam, and like, because like I'm so used to like these mystery shows, like drawing it out, and like on another show we probably wouldn't found out that Sam was dead. Like I don't know. I felt like it was like a new, fresh take on the mystery genre. And so when they showed Sam at the end, I was like putting my seatbelt on, and I was ready for the ride.
That's
But
awesome.
then I was still working at the movie theater for like all of season 1, and my boss at the movie theater like started noticing how much of a fan I was, like, because I'd always talk about it with him. And so starting with season 2, he would schedule me off on Thursday nights
Oh, that's
so
so
I could
sweet.
watch. And so from season 2 to the end, I watched live every Thursday night and
That's
live
awesome.
tweeted. And I would set my iPad up in front of the TV, and I would record my reactions to the watching for the first
Oh,
time.
yes. Oh, that's
So
so cool.
um I first started getting like when they killed off Wes, like under the sheet, I was like sobbing and a mess and all that. And they actually watched that in the writers' room with Pete Nowak, and all the writers watched my reaction
Amazing.
of me crying over what they did. And then at the beginning of season 3, I got a Keating 5 tattoo
Oh
on
my
my
God. Where
arm.
is it?
It's
Can I see
like the
it?
5 faces of
That's amazing.
the kids. Yeah.
Wow.
So then they saw that, or Pete showed all the writers that at the beginning of season 3 that some fan got a
Yeah.
tattoo of,
That's
and
amazing.
then they killed off Wes. So I have Wes on my arm. And then yeah, just um always like kept supporting it and
Yeah.
doing reaction videos. And speaking of, we brought up 503 earlier, when
Mhm.
they're like, that's not Bonnie, that's her sister.
Yeah.
The client in that episode is named Niles, and the writers named that client after me in that
That's
episode.
amazing.
So
That's
when you watch that episode, yeah, the client that Annalise is defending is named after me.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
Oh, I love that. That makes me like the writers even more. I mean,
Right.
I like them anyway, but
And then having them on, we got to talk about that. It was cool.
that's so cool.
And then I met Conrad, who played Oliver in New York a couple years ago. Like
And he was
randomly.
your first guest on this too, right?
Yeah, so it was like a full circle kind of poetic thing. So I met him in New York randomly. He was doing like a panel. I didn't know it was gonna, but the dates just matched up when I was there. And then I took a bus to DC with my best friend Sarah because Jack Fallahee was doing a play in DC. So we saw his play, and then he came out and met me after the play.
Awesome.
And then Paley Center, Charlie and Liza came out and found me after.
That's so cool.
Yeah.
That's really cool.
And then I got a Lady Justice tattoo of the, like the trophy, of the scales and
Oh yeah.
the murder weapon from Sam. Yeah, I have that tattooed on my leg.
I forgot that was the murder weapon.
Yeah, with the scales and the. So I have that on my leg. Yeah.
Wow.
So that's kind of the full.
Man. Well, I love that you were a fan who also sort of became instrumental, in terms of
Right. It's weird to think, like, yeah, but it's cool though. And then in season 5 they had that the board the FBI made, that's behind me. Me and my friend Louisa made that one. And then one of the writers sent me like a kind of like a movie poster version of the one they used on the show. So I have that framed downstairs.
That's so cool.
And yeah. Just little stuff,
Yeah. That's awesome. That must have been very hard when the show got ended.
When it was ended, yeah. And it's like May 14th is like the anniversary, you could say.
Really?
Yeah, so it's almost been a year. So.
Oh wow.
And like the whole went like that was when like we were like right in the start of the pandemic, and it was just a lot. And
well, I was so glad that because I remember emailing with Liza after season 5 when they were waiting to know if there would be a season 6. She said, "Yeah, every year this is kind of what we do. We have to wait." And I was so glad for the show, for the creative team, that they knew it was going to be the last season.
And when it did,
yeah, really, and they did it so well in terms of the punch. It just wouldn't have been the same if it was just like ending season 5 and then it's not renewed, and then that would have sucked. I mean, that they actually got to wrap it up in a way where they got to do it
on their turn. Yeah.
Pete's turn. Yeah.
Not a lot of shows get that chance.
Yeah.
Especially today with all the competition.
Yeah.
And
but even having the actor who played Wes play the son, and like it was really interesting how they wrapped it all up. Yeah.
The finale. Did you like everybody's endings or?
Yes. It was really interesting to see it.
It's heartbreaking for some. Oh my god. For Bonnie.
Yeah, and it was interesting to see the old age stuff.
Oh yeah. I don't know.
Yeah. Epic.
That would have been Julie in
show.
old age, right?
I don't know how. Yeah. Yeah. Oh well.
I'm glad.
Maybe I'll get to play Liza's sister again sometime. I do have a funny. Let me just tell you one little funny story about working with Liza. I'm like
I gotta get Liza on the show somehow.
I'm like 6 inches taller than her. I'm a lot taller than her. And I remember it was a scene we were filming standing up by the kitchen right when she says, "I found the gun," and
Oh yeah.
I have to protect myself or whatever. And I remember she was wearing boots with heels on them, and I think I was barefoot or something. And I remember some camera guy or somebody said, "Eliza, if you can take those shoes off if they're uncomfortable, because it's a close up of you two." And I said, "No, don't." I felt so much bigger than her, and I was like, if she takes off those heels, I'm gonna be like,
"What up,
talking to my sister like this." And I was already sort of squatting a little bit in the scene. But
Or
I was
in
very self-conscious of being so much taller than her.
or in the scene where you guys are at the kitchen table and you start
Mhm.
get or when the dad sold the baby and you like she goes and like hugs you or
Oh yeah. No, she was standing and I was
she
sitting.
was
Yeah,
saying yeah. That kind of helped too.
exactly.
I need to
That was
protect myself and you're like
I know,
really tall.
that was an intense scene, but yeah, that was just really that was a funny detail. But I was like,
Don't take them off.
I feel so big. Yeah, but she's dear. She's great.
Oh, I love her. Hopefully I can get her on the podcast somehow. Be
Oh,
awesome.
I'm sure she'll have some interesting stories.
Oof, I'm ready. But thank you again for saying yes and
Thanks for asking.
giving me some time on your weekend. And it was an honor to talk to Julie.
Well, it was my pleasure. It was super fun to remember. It was a really good experience. So
I'm glad.
yeah, way to keep it alive. You're keeping the show alive.
Right. I need something. I can only rewatch it so many times, you know? Oh, man. But yeah, it's been fun so far with the podcast. And
Yeah,
hopefully I can get some more or bring some other fans on and hear what the show's meant to other people like
that
who
would
have
be really
never watched
interesting.
it. Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah.
I gotta pay for like the Zoom has like their different
Oh,
membership
weird.
things, like how many people can be in the thing. So I might have to save up and so I can have more than two people or whatever.
Yeah, yeah, that could be really interesting. You have a
For the
whole
yeah.
fan conversation, like going. You could even do like season by season. Like, let's have
Like
our season 1 conversation, and then
different oh, that was good. Julie. That's a good idea. Yeah, hopefully that would work out and I could plan that with people
yeah, that way you could really get into the intricacies of it.
and like people have different interpretations of characters and
Yeah,
plots and yeah. Oof, I'm ready. But thank you again for episode 9 and
my pleasure.
my pleasure talking to
Lucky number
you.
9.
Hopefully I can see one of your plays or something in the future.
Yes.
Be awesome.
Well, gosh, wish me luck. I hope I get a job soon. I actually have to film a callback for an indie film in an hour. So
Oh, dang.
wish me luck, man.
I
Just
gotta
the
go get groceries, so
journeyman actor. That's a good thing too.
I need some. Oh man, but yes, I can't thank you enough for talking with me, and
Thanks for asking me.
thank you.
I'll see you on the Insta.